Okay, so here's the Warsteiner BMW 320i disassembled. Now, for those of you that are familiar with this setup from Revell Monogram, that pinion gear looks different, and that's because it is different. Now, it's got plastic bearings, but it's got that bronze 11-tooth pinion on it, and at the junction where the motor shaft is supposed to connect to the rest of the shaft, going through that bearing there with the pinion on it, that is not the stock spring. That thing got destroyed trying to take this apart because my press that I use is not long enough to have pressed that pinion onto that shaft and the back of the motor. Okay, so what I had to do was I had to take the spring off, and like I said, I have thrown the parts away. The spring was destroyed. It got elongated like crazy. I tried all kinds of different methods to try to get that spring off of there that joins these two shafts, and I wasn't able to do it. So through resources and experimentation, this clear part right here that you see works just fine, and you'll never guess what it is. It is the ballpoint pen. See where that clear part is without any ink in it? I cut a piece off, and it fit the shaft. Not tight. It wasn't a press fit, but what I did was I took CA glue and I put some on this shaft, and I put some on this shaft, and I pushed that piece of the ballpoint pen ink retainer tube onto the two shafts. Then I came back, and because it is slightly larger than the two shafts, I was able to wick with drops of CA here and here in order to get the CA to wick up further onto the shafts. And as you just saw, it's running just fine. No problems. As you look, the wear pattern is right there, and it's not rubbing any part of the crown gear. So I've had to do several of these cars, or the ones, I should say, the ones that have the motor up front that has the second elongated shaft going to the crown gear setup, and it's been a mixed bag. The other two cars, I was able to reuse the spring without distorting it. And then on top of that, I would go back with CA glue, even on those metal springs and these metal shafts, and I would put a drop of CA glue against it. And so that way, you know, the spring wouldn't come loose. Because quite frankly, I doubt I'll run these long enough to wear anything out, to be honest with you. And even if I do, oh well. But for instance, if something goes wrong with the motor, or something goes wrong with the shaft and the pinion, I can always take an X-Acto knife and cut that plastic, and then cut it down the length of the tube, separate it, clean the shafts off with some light sandpaper, and go about my business with making repairs. So you may come across this. That gear the pinion gear that was original to this vehicle was also white nylon. And if people don't know, then you don't know. But it's been my experience in RC race cars, or any kind of RC cars, or even these, now that I've come across it on these slot cars, white nylon is not the best material. The black nylon seems to hold up better. I can't tell you why, but it does. It seems to hold up better. Again, I'm not a plastologist or whatever the term's called about plastic. So what will happen is that white nylon pinion gear, when they go to press it onto the shaft, 9 times out of 10 it puts a hairline crack in it. And you'll notice when you go to spin the wheels, it'll hang up right where that crack is on the pinion. And it'll be right there, starting from where the shaft comes through, and sometimes it goes all the way through, creating a space in between the gears on the pinion. Or it'll be slightly cracked, and then as you're running it and what have you, it'll get worse. And finally you'll get to the point where as you're trying to turn the wheel, suddenly you get stopped. And then if you force it, it'll go ahead and let you keep going. But you'll hear a click. And as you come back around to where that split is in that pinion, it'll lock up again. And you can test it back and forth where that split is. 9 times out of 10, all you got to do is come back to the pinion. If you're running, if it has a white nylon pinion that's got a crack in it, you can literally take a screwdriver, a flat tip screwdriver, and push that thing back and forth on that shaft. Now mine was gripping just enough to where it would run on the track, but you could tell the RPMs were going higher than the speed of the car. So that was a clue also. So if you come across that sort of thing, that's the fix that I have. Is using a ballpoint pen ink reservoir tube without the ink in it. Usually it's got an empty space in there. Cut it to whatever length you need it. Go ahead and press your new pinion gear on to the shaft, and then glue the 2 shafts together. And that should work for you. Every one that I've done so far has worked. And I take that back. I've done 4 cars. This makes the 2nd car that I've had to use this trick on. The other 2, the springs maintained their shape, didn't get stretched out or warped or anything, and so there's no vibration to it as it's running. And as you saw in the video, it's pretty quiet. You know, for a Revell Monogram car, it's pretty quiet. And quiet is always good. So that's all I have for today. I'll talk to y'all later. God bless and take it easy. Bye.